Do you remember our favorite baddie, Brume, a.k.a. Barbie? Well, this is the concluding part of our story. Let's find out what happened to Brume, our Barbie La Baddie. 1 year after her imprisonment, Brume gained freedom from Kirikiri. Her case was never tried, but one day, Mazichuka, out of the blues, asked the police to drop the case. He wanted to run for a senatorial seat, so he did not want the case to appear in his records. Brume was let out of the confines of the prison with nothing but the oversized free clothes and 5,000 naira given to her by a benevolent female warder who had taken a liking to her. In 1 year, Barbie La Baddie had changed a lot. She was now much slimmer and older looking due to the hard prison life. Her hair was cut very low and she was no longer the pretty, fresh-cheeked girl she used to be. But she was grateful to be finally out and a free woman again. As the days had ticked by in captivity, she had come to forgive Ben for all he did to her and took it as a payback for what she had done to Edafe, stealing his boss's money and putting him into a lot of trouble. But when Brume arrived at the closest branch of her bank to withdraw some money, that forgiveness disappeared and was replaced with rage and pain. She was told there was no money left in her account. That was shocking because she knew she had almost 2 million naira in the account where she was arrested. So it was with utmost disbelief that she met the news. Not until she was given her account statement and saw with her own eyes the number of ATM withdrawals done on the account just weeks after her incarceration. But I no do any ATM withdrawal now. Me wait there for one place since all these days. In fact, I lock my ATM for house. She began, then paused. What if someone had stolen her ATM card from her apartment? Immediately, Brume ran out of the bank and hailed the bus. She needed to get back to her former apartment building in Magodo quickly. On getting there, she found a young woman in her mid-20s coming out of her very own apartment. "Oga, who you be?" she questioned. "What do you mean? I live here. Who are you? What do you want?" The girl responded. "I'm the one who used to live here. I used to live here before I before I traveled." Brume responded again. "Where all my property?" "I have no idea. Please go and ask the caretaker." The girl told her before walking away. Brume, the ex-Barbie, did just that. She marched to the caretaker's office. A few feet from the office door, she was stopped in her tracks by a very familiar voice, speaking loudly within the small office space. It was Ben's voice. She froze. Then she moved closer and peeped in from the open window. It was indeed Ben, and he was talking and laughing with the caretaker in a very familiar way. The same caretaker who had claimed to the police that he had no idea who Ben was a year ago. And the way they were chatting and talking like close pals, it became very clear to Brume that there was a close relationship between Ben and the building caretaker. Sure, these two they worked together all this while. And that was when the rage became unbearable. Not only had Ben used her, framed her, and condemned her to jail with a false witness from his accomplice, the caretaker, they had both also somehow stolen all the money in her account using her ATM card. It was worse than adding salt to an injury. It was like adding fire to a gunshot wound. and the need to revenge, making Ben pay for everything, shook through her body like an earthquake. She took action immediately. She wanted the revenge that same day, and she wanted to hurt him badly, take everything away from him like he had done to her. So she came up with a quick plan. Quietly, so as not to be seen, she went away from the office window and down the stairs to the car park in front of the building. Ben's white Benz was parked there. She loitered around, waiting for Ben to come out of the building and get into the car. Her plan was to follow him when he came out and trail him because she needed to know where he lived. She knew that for her plan to be successful, she must be alert and act very quickly. Ben and the caretaker came out almost 30 minutes later. They walked to the car and he got in while the caretaker remained close. They continued talking for a while, not noticing Brume, even though she was standing close by. And even if they did, she was certain neither would recognize her. She had changed so much. She hailed an Okada as they talked and told him they were going with the white Benz. Just follow her when he starts to drive. No worry, I'll go pay you well. And the Okada man did just that. The moment Ben pulled out of the parking space and onto the road, he started following him. Luckily, Ben's destination was not too far away, so the following was not for too long. He arrived at the gate of a beautiful estate and drove in. Okadas were not allowed to go in, so Brume had to disembark and pay the bike man. Then she proceeded in on foot. It was a good thing that it was not the sort of estate where pedestrians were restricted. She could not meet up with the Benz's speed though and soon lost Ben, but our ex-baddie did not give up. She was driven by so much anger and need for vengeance that she kept going, not caring if she had to peep through every gate in the estate to locate him. Fortunately, it was much easier than that. She was still walking along the road that led from the estate gate when she saw Ben's car parked in front of a duplex. As she got closer, she saw that he was still in the car. He was making a phone call, and that was why she had been able to catch up with him. He soon finished and tooted his horn. The gateman opened the gate and he drove in. Brume remained there, wanting to be sure if it was his house. Something told her it was, but she needed to be very sure. After waiting for about 10 minutes, she went up to the gate and knocked. A small portion of it was opened by the gateman, who asked, "Yes, who you be?" "I want to see your oga, Mr. Ben," she responded. "Wetin be your name and who you be?" he asked again. "Just tell am Sade." The moment the gateman went away to inform Ben of his visitor, Brume La Baddie scurried away from sight. She had no intention of seeing Ben at that moment. She had gotten the confirmation she needed that that was his house. If not, the gateman would have corrected her when she called him his oga. Now that she knew where Ben lived, her plan was simple: rob him, get back her stolen money and more as consolation for sending her to jail. How? She knew someone from prison who could help with that: Big Vicky. When Barbie had recounted what brought her to prison to Big Vicky and some other girls, Big Vicky had offered to help her get revenge when she completed her sentence in a few months. But Brume had told her not to worry, that she saw everything as payment for what she had done to Ed Daffy. However, she was now ready for that jungle justice. She had Big Vicky's phone number in her diary, but the challenge was how to call her as she had no phone. She trekked away from Ben's estate towards the bus stop, and as she went, she kept begging people to use their phone, that she was stranded and needed to call a friend. Finally, she was able to find a man that let her use his. "Vicky, na Barbie be this, so I don't dey outside, babe, abeg. I wan see you urgently. I get parole for you oh. Big Vicky did not hesitate to share her address on hearing those words. When they met, Brume told Big Vicky all she had witnessed and that she was now ready to make Ben pay back dearly for all he had done. I won't deal with him badly oh. Shebi, I tell you before, but now you delay. Nothing spoil shy dey for you, and my boys dey gidigba too. That bed, we go treat him F up. That one a small thing. See how we go do am. Sunday morning arrived, and it was time for Big Vicky and her boys to carry out the strike on Ben. They had chosen that time because there was more likelihood of him being at home. Also, they could easily use the guise of the big church they knew was situated within the estate to act like churchgoers, so as not to raise neighbors' suspicion. Barbie La Baddie, of course, accompanied them too. The operation went very smoothly. Once in front of Ben's house, one of the guys peeped in from the side of the gate and confirmed he was in as his car was parked in the compound. Then he knocked on the door, and as soon as the gate man opened to see who it was, he waved the gun at his face, forcing him to open up the gate and take them in. They all slid on their masks before going in. And so, at gunpoint, they made Ben hand over all his jewelries, phones and laptop, as well as those of his wife. They also forced him to transfer all the money in his account into the coded accounts they usually used for their operations. Then they collected his car keys, locked him, his wife, kid, house help and gate man in one room with no means of communication before driving out of the house and the estate. Well, all through the operation, Barbie La Baddie's legs were shaking. This was extreme baddie thing, robbery, chai. She was so scared of them getting caught, but despite that, she was filled with intense temptation to take off her mask and show herself to Ben, to let him know that this was happening to him as payback for all he had done to her. Of course, it would be a foolish thing to do that, as it would result in her and the rest of the gang getting caught, so she did not. That was how Big Vicky and her gang carted away Ben's valuables and money totaling 45 million naira. Barbie's share came to 7 million naira and some gold jewelry. Immediately she received it, Brume left Lagos and returned to Sapele. She was going back home to establish a decent business and make an honest living. Also to return the money she had stolen from Edafe with interest. Her days of being a baddie were behind her.